Finally, here we are at part 7 and the final chapter of my Pentagon speaker project. Part 1 was the design. Part 2 was cutting some of the parts out. Part 3 was machining some of the sides. Part 4 was completing the sides and starting to work on the top. Part 5 was gluing the box together and some final machining. Part 6 included completing the machining of the top and the first listening experience and tuning of the speaker box. And now it is time to bring this project to a conclusion. Before I start my finish sanding, here's something that I thought you might be interested to know. There's one I need to look for. It should be in this box. That was a custom clamp up that I used on some tables that I made. Make sure I'm sitting here in the video. My 90-degree sander. This has got an arc on it. I don't remember what the radius of that arc is for something I needed to sand. Another one with a different arc. Another one with a big arc. This is for profiles. A 90-degree sander with a radius on it. And here's the one I'm looking for. This is my Roman Ogi sander. I mapped out the profile of my Roman Ogi bit, and if we can see this in the video, put a piece of sandpaper across this face right here, and you see it just perfectly fits my router bits. So I can clean off any ridges or anything. I'll only use 220 or finer sandpaper with this. No heavy sandpaper or it's going to take off the hard corners. But I thought you might be interested to see that. These are all, let's get back down onto the bench. With the exception of this one, which is very, very old, I had to lay that up very carefully to make sure I had a 90 on here. There's my 45-degree edge sander. Oh, it looks like I made another one. I didn't have to. I have two. Didn't even know I had that. I have two 45-degree edge sanders. And the rest of these all made on the 3D printer for various sanding jobs. One like this, I have it labeled 18 millimeter. This is for sanding out an 18 millimeter dado. Could also use that on a rabbit. This one is not labeled, but again, this is for another dado, to get down into the dado and sand it out, making the edge nice and flat. 3/4 nose sander. But those are all my sanders, all done on my 3D printer. Now I'm going to get into, and I'm not going to actually show it, but I'm going to get into getting that finish sanded down to 220 grit sandpaper in preparation for applying the finish. Now once again, I forgot to push the button on the camera. First coat is on here. Light coat of shellac. It'll be actually 2 light coats of shellac. And this is essentially a sealer. Anybody that has stained poplar knows that it can be blotchy due to variations of grain. And you'll see what happens when we seal it with shellac prior to staining. First coat is on there. This will be the second and last coat. That looks pretty good as is, but we're going to go ahead and stain this a darker color. That's going to be I'm going to wait at least an hour, maybe a little bit longer, go over it very, very lightly with 320 paper, and then apply the stain. We're ready. The piece is finished up. Let me get a little bit more light going on here. That should be looking a little better. We're ready to coating, but first I wanted to see if this is a stain I wanted to use. Do this carefully. I don't have any gloves on. I think that looks pretty nice. You can see it went on nice and smooth and even. Out here it's not cut. I don't want to put any stain out here because I'm holding it right, using it as a handle. But we can see it went on nice and even, no blotching. If you wanted to leave a little heavier coat, brush it on. But I've got another one that I think is a little bit darker. This was cinnamon. It's a water-based stain. So let's go get, I've got both sides of this prepped, so let's go get the other one and see if I can pick one or the other. There's not much in this one. I prefer to open these cans pointing away from me, so if there's any pressure built up in there when the seal's broken, it doesn't spit out all over me. We learn these lessons the hard way. I've used a combination of these two shades to develop a nice kind of fake cherry look to it, especially with using poplar. See, this side's much darker. I've got way too much on there. We'll have to wipe, get me another rag. We'll just see if we can use this one to wipe it down. Gonna have to decide between this, just a little bit darker. When you're wiping stain off, make sure you're going in the direction of the grain. Looks like the warm cherry is just a shade darker. And that's the combination of the two. Although you should wait till one fully dries before adding the other, and it's just a touch. I think that deeper tone looks much better. I think I'm just going to go with the straight cinnamon for a finish just like that. All right, now it's time for the final stages. Here we go with the stain. You may notice that I go across the stain with the cloth, but I will always finish going with the grain. I go around hitting each side in the top and then review each side, spinning it around, looking for any variations, touching up as I go. Normally with stain, you let it sit and soak in, but remember, this is sealed with shellac, so there is no soaking in. This is a surface stain only. Any sections that appear a little dark, I just get a fresh rag and wipe it down. Well, here we are. I waited the obligatory time for the stain to dry. It's now time for the finish coat. Again, we're going to be using the shellac. In the past, I've always sprayed the shellac out of my sprayer, but in California's infinite wisdom, they banned the denatured alcohol. You need to thin it out. So there's the finish. And I'm pretty pleased with that, I think. And now let's get the final cover. Oh, we're at the last stage. Now, the last stage is adding some damping material, especially if you have a box that's smaller than it should be. This damping material makes it's a fake to make the box seem bigger to the speaker. We do that with a click test. Unfortunately, with the microphone in this camera, it can't pick up the subtle differences between the speaker. So basically, with a small voltage going into the speaker and a switch that we've got right over here in my left hand, we pulse the speaker. And listening to that, I've already gone through this once, and listening to it and then looking at the recording on the video, there's a much deeper bass here than what's picking up on the microphone of the camera. And based on the sound here, it definitely needs a little bit of damping material inside the box. So we're going to get, I'm going to pull the speaker out. Here is the damping material I'll be using. I'll be lining up the back two walls with this damping material. And essentially, this is done once I get the speaker cover in place. I don't know if we're going to be able to see in there. Look, there's the camera light turned on, and you can see the stuffing there in the box stapled to the back walls. So now it's time to get that speaker assembled and get the cover in place. Okay, we're at the home stretch. And here is an old shirt I had that was in the rag pile. I was hoping to have a black cloth cover, but I don't have any black material. But here's what I'm doing. There's the plastic piece you've seen before. And the day before, I was pondering how I'm going to cut this at just the right size circle to get that in there. And then I had a thought. And this is where the thought ended, right here. So let me get you up on the tripod and go over that. Okay, here we go. The way I have it sitting in here, I just kind of laid the material over it and then located the plastic. And this is way too loose. I don't like that loose. Trying to come up with the ways how I'm going to stretch that. So, and then cut it so it's the right size and we can't see anything out here hanging out. So what I'm planning on trying, we'll see if this works, is I'm going to cut this oversized and then take and stretch it and tape it in place. Then place the ring in place just like it is now, undo the tape, fold it up, and cut it right at the border. Then when I push this down all the way to lock it in place, it should take the material down with it and hiding the outside seam. So off camera, I'm going ahead, I've got my shears here ready to go. I'm going to cut the material and get it taped in place. Okay, we're back. I've got some decent tension on here. I've got 4 pieces of tape here, here. That one was coming loose, and one down here, and it got decent tension on it. I need to find the groove and carefully tap this down just a little bit. Okay, now I've got it repositioned to where we pull up the tape. Hopefully it's going to stay right there. And now, how am I going to cut that? I don't know yet. And my choices are essentially very small scissors or an X-Acto knife. I don't know how well the X-Acto knife is going to cut into this. Got to be careful to not cut into the plastic, or I could end up breaking my cloth retainer. So we're going to experiment with the scissors first. Let's see how well they cut the material to start with. And these do not cut the material well at all. I'm going to go check and see if I have a sharper pair of these. Okay, here's my other ones. These are the only 2 pair I have. Let's get some more light on this thing. There we go. And those are much sharper. Need to kind of poke into it. That's going to take a lot of work. Let's try, I don't know if you can even see what I'm doing down here. My hands might be in the way. Let's get a little closer. I can do this without getting my hands or my head in the way. See if we... Okay, either one of these methods appears that it is going to work, but this is going to take a while, so let's see. Well, that was relatively painless. And the last step, we need to get my plastic ring down all the way in. Well, here we go.
Oh no!
Oh, and this side slipped out. I think I was hammering down this side, this popped up and this slipped out. So Now we get to see if I can get that plastic ring back out. The idea is going to work. I just have to make sure I keep pressure on it all the way down so it doesn't slip out. Okay, coming to the last few inches of the second attempt. So I figured I'd start up the video again. But this time, as I'm putting this in, I'm going to get a longer board. See, this one should be okay. This way I can make sure I'm holding one side down while I'm tapping in the other side. And we got a little bit of sawdust on there. We've got a couple of threads hanging out. This side's not quite in all the way. No, those threads came right off. Got one right here that's not coming out. I don't know if you can see that right there. See if I can do a little bit of surgery and get that trimmed. And nobody would probably even notice it except me. There, that was all right. All the way around. Okay, let's get this stood up. Got a little bit of cleanup to do on my workbench, but my speaker, getting a look around here, is complete. And this concludes another Diggy's Do's project. Be sure to subscribe to be notified of new uploads and hit that notification bell to be informed of future updates.